Welcome, Pewter Report readers and listeners, to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. I am John Ledyard from pewterreport.com. With me today is a man that needs no introduction at all. He's the dominator of defense, surveying these practices with an eagle eye, Matthew Matera. Great to have you on the show today with me, obviously breaking down all things Bucs-Titans and these epic joint practices that have happened, including quite a large number of fights today, Matt. What do we do with that information?
Yeah, the intensity was very high. I know we were at a football practice, but it kind of felt like we were at the MGM Grand in Vegas, about to watch a UFC pay-per-view or the latest, greatest boxing fight. I know boxing starting to die down, not as many stars, but the stars were involved in these fights today. You know, you had Antonio Brown. He got things swinging off, no pun intended, with that picture that has now surfaced the internet of him swinging. As Bruce Arians said, he was just swatting flies.
I've observed, I think I saw it quickly, but that was about it. I have not seen a great shot of it
it's
yet.
a heck of a photo. Heck of a punch, too. It kind of nailed squarely.
Bruce Arians said he didn't throw any punches.
No throws, no punches. Herb Miller was the second fight. Ryan Jensen, I believe, was the third fight. He was defending Leonard Fournette because Simmons was holding on to him too long. And then last but certainly not least, Devin White did his best Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle impersonation and suplexed, we think, Jeremy McNichols. That's what our guy Zach Blobner was saying. He thought it was Jeremy McNichols. To be honest, yeah, the X-Buck. So you could draw all the storylines you want from there. I believe... So when I saw it, the players had already piled up, so it was tough to tell who was pushing who and everything like that. I do know, obviously, Devin White was involved. I believe it was Will Golston had to rip him away from the pile and get him away from everyone else. But Devin White said after practice that he saw a couple Titans players go after, he didn't even know, just a guy in the secondary on the Bucs. And the leader that Devin White is went in fearlessly, not even knowing who he was defending, but he knew he was defending a Bucs player.
Right.
And he went out there and did his thing. It was a very high energy practice, a well-focused practice for the Bucs. I mean, all the fighting notwithstanding.
Right.
I mean, they needed to bounce back after a less than stellar performance the day before. And I think we're all in agreement here that the Bucs, they
won the day.
Yeah, they kicked the backside of the Titans today.
They did. Very appropriate language there, Matt. They did. It was a dominant day for the Bucs. It was the kind of day they're capable of, Matt, if they are not shooting themselves in the foot, if they're not dropping the ball, making mistakes, turning the ball over. Even that was a little bit of an issue yesterday. I went thinking back through practice. I don't think we talked about that as much as we should have maybe yesterday. But yeah, if they can cut those things out, then we're talking about a really dominant football team. It was hard to evaluate Tennessee offensively, at least. I thought defensively,
they were missing so many guys on offense.
No
Julio Jones, AJ Brown, Derrick Henry.
No Derrick Henry, right? No Ben Jones, their center. No Nate Davis, their right guard, I believe. They didn't have half their starters on offense. So take it for what it is. But both sides of the Bucs, I mean, they took care of business, right? They did what they needed to do and took care of business. We'll talk about all the specifics of that. But first, our friends over at Celsius are sponsored.
Oh, you got the blueberry.
As they sponsor every podcast. Yes, I got the blueberry pomegranate, the Celsius Heat Edition, and you're about to hear the ice cold sounds of a make y'all want to go get a Celsius, pull it out of your fridge. I'm excited to dig it. I need it today because it's been a grueling week down at practices and the heat and everything, and Celsius gives you the energy that you need without any of the bad stuff, without any of the drop off, no sugar, great taste. Accelerates metabolism, is proven performance energy that you get from these Celsius energy drinks. And I'm telling you what, the boost that I've gotten from them has changed the game for me, Matt. They have been essential for me. Scott was talking the other day about how he doesn't drink coffee anymore. And Celsius has replaced it for him. And it's done wonders for all of us on staff, to be honest.
Yes, it has.
We're excited about Celsius as always. And it also came home to the news that the fast energy bars are back in the Ledyard household. We've got more. A couple boxes arrived. We've got the salted caramel peanut crunch that is back in action. So if you're looking for the energy drinks or you're looking for the protein bars from Celsius, you can click on the link below in this YouTube description and get to those fast energy bars, and make sure that you can get the variety pack so you can get a little bit of the salted caramel peanut crunch, a little bit of the white chocolate cookies and cream, because they're both awesome. If you're looking for Celsius energy drinks, click on the banner ads at pewterreport.com or go to celsius.com, use the store locator option, find out where they are near you. All right, so of these 5 practices, fights that happened today at practice, Matt, what stood out to you here? I mean, like, what were there any real? I mean, to me, the best one was Devin White like suplexing someone.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you could implement a wrestling move into a whole skirmish, as people like to call it, I think that's got to be the best one.
Yeah.
Honestly, the one with Herb Miller, I thought was pretty good, because Bruce Arians said after practice, for context, they were in a special teams drill where it was a gunner going up against 1 or 2 blockers, depending on which side of the field you were on. And both guys were just locked up and, helmet, face mask to face mask, just going at each other. And one drove the other one into the ground and they were rolling around and stuff like that. A little bit more of pushing and shoving. But Bruce Arians said after practice that fights always happen in that drill. The gunner drill, fights always happen.
You've got the 2 guys in the vice and the gunner, and they're trying to. It's physically like you're trying to, beat each other.
It's usually guys that are fighting to make this team in the first place. So it's not like they're saying, "Hey, I'm going to get in a fight before practice," because hopefully it'll impress the coaches. But when you have players that are putting it all out on the line because they don't know if they're going to make the team, it adds to an already heightened intensity again, because the Bucs wanted to bounce back from yesterday's practice. So. Yeah, it was fun. There's nothing like a good fight to get the blood flowing, get the juices going.
So you see how you saw the picture where Brown connected with the guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm bringing it up. Hang on, I'm gonna put it on the show. We're doing some live producing here, ladies.
Doing some live editing.
You're getting to see how the sausage is made a little bit.
It was crazy too, because it all happened so quickly, and we tried to split it up at Pewter Report because with the joint practices, you obviously had the Bucs offense on one side.
You were saying that we tried to split up the fights, because you said we tried to split. It happened quickly, and we tried to split it up. Like I wasn't getting in the middle.
No, I would have been like, like swing again.
That's right. So what were you saying? We were spread out over the practice.
Yeah.
So
you had the Bucs offense on the left field 1, and the Bucs defense was out on field 2. So we split it up in the sense of, John, you were looking at more of the offense today over on the left-hand side. I was a little more with the defense in the middle. A lot of the fights happened on the left-hand side. I was only there for like the Devin White one. So I'm a little jealous that you got to see all these scraps.
I did get to see probably more scraps than you. I got to see Ryan Jensen and Jeffrey Simmons go toe-to-toe. That was one that I've been hoping and wishing for. That was because Leonard Fournette took a carry and he got around the right side, and it was kind of a decent gain. And then Jeffrey Simmons came over and pursued, and he kind of grabbed him, and they kind of had words. And, Leonard, he's not backing down from anybody. So
of course.
Then Jensen just comes running over, is like, nah, that's enough. Like, and he just like laid into Simmons, and then, everybody in each team is coming, pulling each other apart and all that kind of stuff, But the thing that gets me, Matt, that cracks me up, honestly, about all this is when Devin White in that skirmish happened, did you see the whole Bucs defense come running? Like, they were all on like full sprint, like all.
Hey, they're a squad, man. They,
I mean, it was a long distance to run. Like they were like on this sideline, and then the action was like all the way across the field on the opposite sideline. And like every dude on the team, without hesitation, is like full sprint. And that's why I was like, oh, this one's going to be like for real. So I like started like jogging over to where you were. And I was like, oh, this one's going to actually be people throwing down, because they just arrived so fast. I thought it was going to get pretty violent, but it actually didn't get that. Nothing got out of hand, I would say. I didn't see the Antonio Brown one. It looks like he did absolutely clobber this dude. I'm trying to get the picture pulled up here, but yeah, it's pretty entertaining for sure. Definitely. I hope they do joint practices every day, man.
That would be awesome. It got to the point where after the Devin White fight, it was like anytime you saw a couple of players, and normally it would just be, the defensive line subbing in for guys that were already in, or the offensive line, something like that. But anytime you saw a couple of players running towards a couple of players on the other team, I thought, okay, we're doing this again. This is round 5. Oh, this is round 6. Round 7 coming up next. It just, once you get a couple of fights, you see it in hockey all the time. Like, if two teams are arguing with each other, one team will drop the gloves, but if it gets to a lopsided type of game, you'll see a couple more fights after that. In this joint practice, you're obviously not keeping score, but it was clear that the Bucs were really giving it to the Titans. So that I think that sparked a couple more of those fights. But I'm surprised we didn't get one or two more. I was waiting for the coaches to stop practice and start yelling at everyone because of the fight. Yeah, there's the picture here.
Look at that.
He landed that flush.
Clobbered him.
As a left-hander myself,
thing.
I appreciate it.
I watched a lot of Antonio Brown practices in Pittsburgh, and he would often get crazy in practice, way crazier than he gets in games. Honestly, Antonio Brown never gets penalties in games. He doesn't taunt, even when he's been mic'd up, nothing. It's so weird how he's totally different in the game setting. It's very strange. I don't think I ever saw him in Pittsburgh get an altercation with a DB that I can think of. After the game, he's always praising the guys he plays against up and down. But I mean, that is a left hook just flush on the jaw there.
And you know what?
Buddy got clobbered.
A smart move by AB too. I mean, I think some people were saying that he took off the other guy's helmet.
Yeah, he did. I think.
Smart move. I mean, if you want to throw a punch, you're a receiver. You need your hands to catch the ball. You don't want to punch a guy in the helmet. You want to punch him square in the face.
Let's see how many people in the chat are yelling at us for talking about fighting like this. Nah, I practice. I'm telling you, I love it. No, he shouldn't have punched anybody. I don't know what that guy did before. I don't know if he threw a punch. Like I said, I didn't see it live, but I mean, you're scrapping at practice. That's the way it goes down. And so Bruce Arians downplayed it all after, and he was like, "Yeah, no big deal." He also said, I think John Elaine asked him, "Well, you heard AB threw a punch or whatever," and he was like, "Nah, he was just swatting flies."
Just
wonder what he's gonna say when he sees that picture. He's gonna keep that, but luckily he doesn't have to talk to the media tomorrow. I don't think so.
No, not until Saturday after the game.
It'll be a dead story by then. Worked out for him, but no, I think that today was honestly though. I don't want all that to overshadow the fact that it was just a really dominant football performance by the Bucs. Let's start just with what we saw in one-on-ones. I was watching the Bucs offense again today because you were watching defense. Scott wasn't there today, so it was just a two-man army, and we were kind of spread out. And yeah, I think offensively for the Bucs, the one-on-ones, it was kind of Mike Evans just came out with such a purpose, man. He was
that first pass.
Yeah,
it was the polar opposite, John, of yesterday because Evans got the first rep yesterday, and again he won it. He won it on a slant, wide open, dropped it. Today. A different route. He was in the end zone, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And a ball was just thrown to him deep down the field. He went up and he got it, caught it. The defender was on him and everything. But I don't know, something with him just making that first play in the game or in the practice, it changed the momentum. It's okay, Mike's back. Mike's got it today. And obviously that he went on to have a tremendous practice. I
mean, made the first great catch, a contested grab. I think it was over Christian Fulton for the Titans. Then, was mossed a couple other people. I mean, he didn't drop anything all day. And not only that, I don't think the ball hit the ground when he was targeted today. And I never saw it hit the ground if he was targeted today. Team sessions, one-on-ones, it didn't matter. He was a monster. In the one-on-ones, he made 3 crazy catches, consistently getting separation. Great routes. They did the red zone one-on-ones, from the 5 or 10 yard line one-on-ones. He was dusting guys in those. I mean, he caught everything. And Titans couldn't stop Bucs at all in the red zone. Was there an incomplete? Oh, Jalen Darden didn't come up with a tough one. He should have caught twice. Actually, it was Jalen Darden twice in the red zone. From the 10 in, the quarterbacks were throwing to receivers with DBs covering them. And twice, I think Darden should have had the ball. He ran great routes. In fact, the coach even screamed on one of them, "Great route, Jalen." And then he couldn't finish the catch. He created the separation. Just tough catches that going to the ground. One was a full extension grab, but hit him in the hands both times. He's got to start finishing tougher catches, not necessarily to impress. I think he's already impressed, but because Tyler Johnson is coming. I mean, it's happening, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
The Tyler Johnson we hope to see at the beginning of camp that came in out of shape, that might have fallen behind Jalen Darden early on, that was definitely behind Scotty Miller, that we were like, man, is he a lock? Jaden Mickens was out playing him for most of camp. Now it is clear. Tyler Johnson has made it clear this week. He played well in the game. I think they missed him for a deep shot. Kyle Trask missed him. He was well open in that game a couple times and was missed. He's played tremendous football this week. And the joint practices have been his best. He was.
Absolutely.
In fact, I'm trying to get a video of a route he ran uploaded.
Was it in the one-on-ones?
One-on-ones.
Because I saw that one as well.
He double moved and cooked someone.
Had the guy on roller skates looking around, like seeing what went on.
Yep.
He
made a great contested catch in the back corner of the end zone. The officials said he was out. Rick Stroud had a video of it, and I thought he was clearly in for the video. You can't totally see his toes, but it doesn't look close. I thought he was definitely in watching live too. I think everybody did. And so it was, but he was, oh man, he was awesome today.
Tyler Johnson deserves a ton of credit for the way that he turned everything around, because starting training camp, he came in, there was the whole weight thing. It took him a little bit to ramp things up, but when he's been on, man, he's been on. It's been no better showing than over these last 2 days. Seems like Johnson sometimes needs a little bit of like motivation for him to really kick it into the high gear that we've seen him and just dominate out there. I mean, the one-handed catch he made yesterday was fantastic. It was arguably the play of the day.
Oh my gosh.
And then that route today, when he left that guy.
Yeah, he dusted him. I'm trying to get it uploaded for people so they can see it. But I mean, he was exceptional today, and it's really been that way. Kind of, the route running's there with him. It was there in college too. But he doesn't have great size or great athleticism, but he's good enough in both those areas. But his ball skills are just, I mean, again, it's why he's so similar to Chris Godwin. I would say Chris Godwin has great size, better size than Tyler Johnson, and probably better athleticism, but still not like Chris Johnson's not like a freak in those ways, or Chris Godwin. But Tyler Johnson is similar in that way, and that neither are freaks, but both are blockers. Both can run good routes. Both can play inside or outside, and contested catches, ball skills. I mean, ball skills, it's more than just contested catches, but it's just the ability to find and track and adjust and time your jumps. Like, Mike Evans gets a ton of credit for that, but I've said this to you. I think Chris Godwin is a much better contested catch receiver and ball skills receiver than Evans even is. I mean, Godwin, you can make the argument he's the best in the league in that area. He or Allen Robinson, probably Penn State guys.
There you go.
But yeah, I think Tyler Johnson is very, very, I think he's about to put his name in that conversation when he gets those kind of opportunities. Cause I mean, I think back to the best catches of camp, and he's had at least 4 where they've been all just crazy adjustments outside his frame, coming back for a ball, snagging it with one hand, leaping, just timing. Again, he's not a great leaper, but timing and full extension.
I was going to say his timing is great, because I do see, I know you were just comparing him to Godwin. I do see, though, a little bit of Mike Evans in him, the way he's able to track that ball. And like you said, maybe not the best jumper, but his timing is everything. And it almost reminds me, in a way, in basketball, when you're throwing an alley-oop and you got to get the timing right, or you're in the dunk contest and you got to bounce the ball high up in the air, but you got to time it right so you get at the air in the right time, or whatever move you're trying to go to. It's almost like he's taking a basketball approach to it. A lot of people like to say that he plays above the rim. And I see that. I understand how people are trying to describe him with that. He keeps doing it. So, I mean, if he comes up on Saturday with another big game, I think it's fair to pencil him into that number 5 receiver spot ahead of Darden, because I think beforehand we had Darden ahead of Johnson.
But is it higher?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, we know Scotty's going to be the deep threat down the field, but Bruce Arians wants him to make more of these grimy catches. And honestly, in these 2 joint practices, I haven't seen too much of Scotty Miller, where I've seen a lot of Tyler Johnson. We've seen a lot of the big 3 receivers. So I'm not ready to pencil him into number 4 yet, but he's knocking on that door, right? I think. It's
going to be, last year was he and Scotty kind of splitting things at the end of the year. It's hard because we've seen what Scotty Miller can do. We know what value he brings to the field.
Yeah.
But it's in a role, right? So if Tyler Johnson's going to be like all around dominant, like he's been lately in practice, then okay, we're having a different conversation, about him. But at the same time, hard to play him over all the other guys that the Bucs have too. And so it becomes kind of a glut at the position if no injuries occur. Hard to. He was pretty good today too.
That guy did all right. He was very busy today.
I'd say Antonio Brown was understandable why the Titans DBs were a little heated, because they were getting cooked for sure by AB. I mean, it's been both way. Practices have been that way. One-on-ones, forget about it. I'm trying to get another video of AB uploaded as well too, if I can, but of a great catch that he made in practice. But yeah, and this guy was pretty good too, Matt.
I mean, that's just an unreal play.
Yeah, he's that's Janoris Jenkins in coverage there on that one. The last one was Titans first rounder Caleb Farley, but it was that kind of a practice. I mean, it was the one-on-ones were extremely one-sided and amazing to watch, to be honest. It was just a show from start to finish, and the adrenaline and the speed of the reps, and that AB, always talking trash. And yeah, it was awesome to watch. The whole thing was a blast. The practice today, and then they go to the team sessions, and I'll say a little bit offensively what I saw from the team sessions. But first, let me tell me what you saw in Titans wide receivers versus Bucs DBs one-on-ones, because yes, these drills are slanted to the offense to a degree, but also no AJ Brown, no Julio Jones. The Titans depth at receiver is like Marcus Johnson and Nick, forget Westbrook, something, and Jester Rogers and Josh Reynolds. So, what did you see from those guys?
Yeah, so when I got over there and I was watching the individuals for the Bucs corners against the Titans wide receivers, they were actually running red zone drills. So everything was pretty much done in the end zone. The Bucs gave up some ground. I know Sean Murphy Bunting got beat on a play or two. D. Delaney was going up against Rodgers, and Rodgers had beat him, but Delaney was able to knock the ball out last minute. I believe it was Delaney on that play. Carlton Davis actually, I thought, had a really good showing. He had 2 pass breakups in it, both times well covered on the play, and was able to really do his thing. It was more the 7-on-7s where I really think the Bucs secondary really all got it together. Mike Edwards had a big interception. He was covering the tight end, and this was Tannehill at quarterback too. It wasn't later on in practice. The Bucs really picked on the backup quarterbacks for the Titans, but this one Edwards got on Tannehill. He was looking for the tight end. He had him fully covered, which I thought was really good. And in these 7-on-7s, the Bucs honestly didn't really have too many pass breakups, but I will say I thought their coverage was very tight. I thought Jamel Dean did a very good job. SMB picked it up. Even the second string guys too. You had Kevin Minter and Joe Jones. Kevin Minter and KJ Britt were in coverage, doing a very solid job. Antonio Brown was doing his thing. Delaney did very well. I'm trying to think who else I had. They had Elijah Ponder in coverage. He didn't get too many targets this way. I was intrigued to see what Elijah Ponder could do. We look at him as a pass rusher, but
yeah,
as you know, outside linebackers are asked to play in coverage. Didn't see really too many targets his way. And Javon Hagan, I thought, did pretty well too. They were all, listen, every now and then, yeah, they would allow the underneath pass, but that's going to happen in 7-on-7.
Right.
When there's no pass rush or anything like that. At one point, they had everyone covered. And again, in a 7-on-7, the quarterback had to just tuck it and scramble. And so when you're covering that well in a 7-on-7 situation, I thought they did a great job with that. None of these corners who have gotten burned in the past, none of them got burned for the big play. Meanwhile, I look over to my left and I see Gronk making a catch 20, 30 yards downfield. There was no big play loss by the defense, especially in 7-on-7. I wouldn't say really too many people stood out more than anyone else besides the Edwards interception and the interceptions in the red zone that we'll get to later. I really thought it was a collective effort of communication, everyone guarding their guy. And like I said, no one got beat deep. No one got beat badly. I don't really think there was a gain of more than maybe 10 yards during that session.
Yeah, that's really what you want to see, because in these practices, especially they're trying to hit these shots, right? You can check down all day and that happens. And sometimes it's the right read. Sometimes in 7v7, I see other reporters get frustrated because it's he's checking down. Well, no, they need to be able to go through those progressions. He's checking safeties. It's a vertical play. It's not there. You check it down quickly. He's checking down right away. No, the faster you get to your check down, the more yardage your check down can pick up. So that's part of the progression. So that some of that stuff's good, but when you're not giving up any of those explosive plays and you look over on the other side of the field and twice Mike Evans has dusted Caleb Farley for huge touchdowns, and Rob Gronkowski's running by Kevin Byard, who's a really good safety, for a touchdown, down the middle. Chris Godwin's getting his as well. So you've got a stark comparison in terms of how the two teams performed. Obviously, no Julio Jones and no AJ Brown makes a huge difference. We're not going to sit here and act like it does not. we can only evaluate what's in front of us. But if those two are out there, I think the Titans' offensive experience is probably pretty different.
Yeah, I should say, too, the Bucs did a great job stopping the run, which, of course, is their bread and butter. But again, Derrick Henry wasn't out there, and they were missing their starting offensive lineman. With that said, it was a lot of the backups, or I guess, yeah, pretty much the backups that were making the big plays along the defensive line. Nacho had a really big day. Pat O'Connor had a big day. Bruce Arians was very complimentary of Khalil Davis after. These guys were really pushing the pocket, well, not the pocket, the line of scrimmage back on these run plays. They're getting in the backfield often. You heard Nacho screaming a lot because you know he's going to celebrate when he makes a play. You could kind of be on any of the fields and you just hear like one person yelling and you're like, all right, that's Nacho. Nacho made a play. But he really showed up. I mean, obviously a little bit limited when it comes to his pass rushing ability. But overall, he knows his job is to stop the run. That's exactly what he did today. Same with Pat O'Connor. That's what Pat O'Connor was doing in the game. He was getting to the backfield. Now it's going to be a matter of actually tackling the ball carrier. Again, in these practices, you're hitting, but you're not like always taking the guy to the ground unless it's Devin White in a fight. But yeah, overall, like a very good job by the defensive line to stop the run. It just speaks to the whole narrative of that practice of everyone on the Bucs roster stepped their game up. They put yesterday in the rearview mirror and brought all of their focus and energy today. And you really saw it in every single drill. You really did.
Yeah. And that's what they're capable of. You know what I mean? That's why it's encouraging, because it's what they're capable of if they're focused and they're getting red zone period, right, Matt? For example, like the red zone period that's a period the Bucs work red zone stuff more. Like I said,
all the time.
When I used to cover the Steelers, they never worked red zone stuff as much as the Bucs do, and I think it's why the Bucs are so good in that area of the field. When they work on their routes, they work on a lot of them in the red zone, just so people understand timing, space, all those kind of things. Here's the boundaries. Here's where you stop. Here's where you expect the ball. So they drill around that area, so they perform well in that area as a result in games, I think. And it shows both days of practice they've done, even when yesterday when they were bad overall, they were good in the red zone period. And then same thing, today. I mean, today the starting offense, so they did a 6-play series, okay? So Bucs offense got 6 reps, Titans offense got 6 reps. They went 3 reps each with the first team offense, both sides. Obviously, the Titans down a bunch of people. The Bucs offense, they alternated after every rep. So Bucs got a rep, Titans got a rep. We actually missed the first rep because we were getting in position. The Bucs scored, but we don't know who scored. I think it was Jaden Mickens from what people were saying, but I don't know why he was out there with the first group. So maybe that's wrong. And then the Titans got on, and Levante David picked off Tannehill. Bucs came back and they scored to Godwin.
Godwin over the middle.
Yep, over the middle.
Well, back over the middle, but in the back of the end zone.
Right. Then Titans came back, and Tannehill actually threw up like a floater that he kind of, the receiver, it was that Nick, what's his name? I had my roster out.
I know. I have my roster.
It's like a hyphenated Westbrook Enier or something like that.
Yeah.
I've actually never heard of him, and I know like 90% of the players in the league, and I don't know who he is, but he ran under the ball and caught it in the back corner of the end zone. Mike Edwards almost broke it up, even though it was in a very great location by Tannehill, great throw. Yeah. And so that was one touchdown. And then the Bucs came back. They threw a screen underneath to Gronk and scored a little slip screen type of deal. They got a couple linemen out in front of him, and he scored easily. And so that was 3 for 3 for the starting offense for the Bucs. Then the Titans came back, and it took them a second, but Tannehill zipped one into Chester Rogers in that zone hole. I don't know how Levante David did that.
That's what I was going to say is Levante David was so angry after the play. He just missed it. He had his arm out. Just missed hitting the ball. I don't know how hard it was thrown. I don't know if Levante would have been able to intercept it, but he at least would have broke it up. It was crazy. He was so close to getting it, and I'm sure he will in the game.
Yeah,
but that made
he
it
almost did too. Yeah, but that was really almost just broken up, I guess. But yeah,
that was the Titans' last touchdown, though.
That was it. And then they threw. Then the backups came in. It was did the Bucs do Gabbert all 3, right? Gabbert got all 3 for the Bucs. They threw short of the end zone to Keyshawn Vaughn. He was knocked out like the half-yard line, I think. By Rashawn
pretty
Evans.
much.
And then Titans came back, and Nate Brooks picked off Logan Woodside, right?
Yes.
Nate Brooks with the first one. Yeah, Nate Brooks picked off the first one. And then Bucs came back, and Gabbert got sacked.
He got sacked, yeah.
And then But Titans came back with Woodside again, and he got picked again. Not a great
D. Delaney, yeah.
Two reps in the red zone, and you throw a and they were both horrible picks. Not to take away
both
from
like the guys were in position. Listen, they made the plays. The ball comes to them, you got to come up with it.
Oh yeah.
But it was one of those. It was like, why did he throw that in the first place? Delaney had his guy covered the whole time. He was about a yard or two in the end zone. So, and he was throwing all the way across to the left. So,
so it wasn't Logan Woodside's best. Then Gabbert came back, and Tyler Johnson, somebody blew a coverage. I didn't see who it was, but he was wide open in the end zone. Easy touchdown.
Yeah.
And then Titans came back out, and it was incomplete pass from good old Matt Barkley, who we didn't even know was on the Titans.
we were very surprised to see the former USC quarterback.
That's always one of the fun things you get. You're like, oh, this guy, I remember him.
Yeah,
like, he's trying to make
good for you. You're still in the league. Like,
I mean, he's behind Logan Woodside, who looked literally like a small child out on the field. I think
it was the number 5 as well that played into it, being that single digit number, and you're already like a smaller player. You need to get double digits there.
What are they listing him at? 6'1", 213?
I don't know.
Look, no way, no chance. That guy, he was a small quarterback. But so the Bucs did really well in the red zone period, I think, offensively and defensively. You come up with 3 turnovers. I don't care who's playing. You come up with 3 turnovers in the red zone period out of 6 plays. I think your coach is going to be really, really thrilled with what you did, especially stopping them 4 times. So, yeah, I think there's lots of good things from today's practice for the Bucs, but that was probably one that stood out to me was ending practice like that. The fact that they cut down completely on drops. I know a bunch of people asked earlier. Sorry, I'm just getting to it now. But, yeah, I mean, drops were right. I mean, there was like none today, right? I mean, I'm trying the early practice on air. Rojo did.
Rojo had one, on air. It was like as we started taking video too. I'm like, oh, you had to drop one right away.
It was like it's going to be that kind of a day. Huh?
Yeah. Well, thankfully it was not. The Bucs cleaned it up for sure. They absolutely righted pretty much every single wrong that they had from the day before. It was encouraging to see because I know they're the Super Bowl champs and everything, but they talk about stacking days. But if you have 2 bad practices in a row, that's really bad for morale, especially going into a preseason game where the starters aren't going to be playing. So they're going to be itching. They want to get back out to practice and make sure they correct all of their mistakes. Right. It was great to really see how they responded in today's practice.
You know what else is bad for morale, Matt? When you're not covered by your insurance because you haven't taken 10 minutes to talk to Briar Greaves to see if they can save you money in the midst of hurricane season on your insurance. It doesn't even matter if it's life, homeowners, auto, or even commercial insurance. Briar and Sam Greaves and their staff are the best in the Bay Area and big Bucs fans. It'll take you 10 minutes to get a quote or compare your current policy, and that 10 minutes could turn into hundreds of dollars in savings. Don't wait. Call Briar Greaves today at 813-876-4166 and find out how much money you can put back in your pocket. 30 years in business and Bucs season ticket holders. Call Briar or Sam today, 813-876-4166. It's just a phone call, but if you can save some money on your insurance, do it. Give Briar and Sam a call. Figure out what you can do with your insurance to put a little more money in your pocket, a little more spending money so you can take it from Scott Reynolds and Underdog Fantasy Leagues. You see, look at that. Right from advertiser to advertiser, but actually we're not even necessarily promoting Underdog Fantasy today because my email is literally to the brim with people looking to join the fantasy football leagues, which I'm pumped about.
Yeah, we appreciate it. All the fans out there that have been signing up. That's fantastic. Lots of
people, So I will promo that again once I get our league sorted out and figure out how to put on. We might do 2 of these big money leagues. You might be able to take Scott's money twice. So that's going to be a fun little opportunity. But appreciate everybody sending me that email and wanting to be involved in those leagues. I'll have more about that on another show in the near future. All right, so what conclusions are we ready to draw? We're not going to see any starters on Saturday, so let's step away from the backups and the depth guys right now. I know there were some that will stand out, but we'll talk about them almost all day Saturday. Like right now, as you're looking at things, Matt, and you're looking at how the top guys have performed, the guys that are unlikely to play on Saturday, where are there question marks for you still? Where are you worried about this team and looking at the starters on offense and defense? Is there anything? I know it's hard to find stuff because this team's so good, but is there anything that stands out to you as like, I need a couple of these things answered as we get closer to the regular season?
Yeah, sure. I think, as you said, this team is so good, but not everything's going to go perfect. So if there are areas of concern, I guess, for the rest of this training camp or heading into the season. One, I would say, would be not necessarily the running game of who's going to be running the ball, but just the overall. This goes back to Leftwich a little bit. Just the overall lack, the overall predictability factor of the run game, and the fact that there's not a lot of motion, even though we know there will be motion, regardless of what Byron Leftwich said. The fact that it's a little predictable and that they run on first down so often, I think the Bucs could run into a situation where they end up in these third and long situations because they're not changing it up in the run game a little bit. Another thing that I'm keeping my eye on, I'm not ready to call it a concern yet, but the amount of drops that Jalen Darden has had, I think we have to pay attention to it. And I know he's electric, he can get open, and he makes the highlight reel catches too. He makes some awesome catches where it's like, how did he come down with this? Wow, he just leaped up higher in the air than I've only seen Michael Jordan jump higher than Jalen Darden, and he makes these catches.
Did not expect that one on
hyperbole. But it's the routine catches that sometimes that he's not making, and I think it's way too early for this. But eventually down the road, I don't want him to become this labeled receiver of really fast, can get open, but has issues catching the ball. Because that's like you could look at Nelson Aguilar, or I don't know, there's other receivers out there that have had that issue. You don't really want to become that. On the defensive side of the ball, I guess really one of the top things that would really jump out to me is what they're going to do with the second cornerback situation. If they don't really trust, whether they want to put SMB there, but they really like SMB in the slot.
Corner. Okay, gotcha.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I thought you said quarterback. And
no. I think they're pretty good at quarterback, I would say.
Yeah.
But just Jamel Dean playing a lot with the second string guys, and I know Bruce Arians said, "Oh well, he didn't get enough reps with the first team." I don't 100% agree with all of that, but if there's a regression from any of those two guys, then you have a little bit of an issue in the secondary where you're just trusting these guys and you don't really have too many other options unless you want to bring Cockrell back from safety to corner.
I think that will happen, by the way. I think Cockrell will come back to corner, but it's getting to the point where we need to ask Arians about this, because is he going to practice at all at corner? Like, is that going to happen?
I mean, we haven't seen it too much, so
right.
It seems a bit odd that he wouldn't at least get a couple of reps there.
Right. I mean, how did he look in one-on-ones today? Did you get a chance to see him in any reps?
I didn't see too much of him in one-on-ones. I know at one point they weren't even doing one-on-ones. They were doing 2 against 2, but again, in the red zone. And he got beat on a slant, and he swiped at the ball after, but the guy held onto it for the catch.
It's pretty hard in that area with no linebackers
exactly.
on the slants. And
it's like the essential pick plays type of stuff. So
no, that's good. I mean, you're right. That's DBs, right? Secondary in general is a concern, right? I mean, you need to be able to have answers if Jamel Dean isn't going to play well, and if SMB is not going to play well too. I mean, SMB's had a good camp, I think. I'm not sure how he looked in the one-on-ones, but I know yesterday he broke up a couple passes driving on the ball. That's not something he really ever did last year. Just straight up reading and driving on the ball. That's just by itself is encouraging to me, right? That he can do that, but I don't know how he's done. And I know still finding the ball with his back to it down the field is still a challenge. I know he gave up a touchdown today like that.
Yeah, SMB got beat a little bit in the one-on-ones from the area that I was able to see. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that the sky is falling? No, absolutely not. Corners are at a bit
especially in one-on-ones. Like,
yeah, of course,
we're never going to take.
I think the issue for the Bucs really is last year. Last year it all panned out, but they went into the season with the risk of, this is a young corner group that's not really fully established yet, and we're just hoping that it works out, and it did. There was still a lot of peaks and valleys, but ultimately it all worked out. Mm-hmm. I don't think that automatically means, though, that we could just assume that the secondary is going to be spot on again this season. It's a new year. Things change. They're all obviously working to get better. I'm not denying any of their work ethics or anything like that. But, a lot of times we say success, leads to complacency. I'm not saying the Bucs are getting complacent, but with all the positivity that they had last year, not everything's going to go right. So it's how they deal with those adjustments. And if they start struggling, what do they decide to go with from there? Do they stay with one of the guys? Do they go the cockerel? Do they maybe, I don't know, try to get Mike Edwards on the field? So they put Winfield in nickel or put Edwards in nickel. I'm not saying they're going to, but I want to see what happens if an issue does come around, which I'm sure it will at some point. That's just the nature of football. Not everything's going to be perfect. So what's the first go-to move when not everything's all set?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because there's going to be, when that adversity strikes, how do you respond to it? And they did last year at times, but also, over the last 2 years, over the 2 years under Bruce Arians, the Bucs have lost less games per player or something like that to injury than any other team in the league.
Yeah.
So they have been, even with the loss of Vea, which they had to overcome, and O.J. Howard to a degree, they had to overcome, they've still been a relatively healthy team comparatively to the rest of the league. A lot of it's because they're such a sports science oriented team. I think that goes a long way. Some of it is just luck, right? Some injuries are just straight up like Vea. You can do sports talk all day. Like when a guy flies into your leg when it's playing.
Right. That guy's injury prone. Yeah, he's injury prone because someone accidentally knocked into him.
Right. So they do as good a job as you can at that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still definitely a challenge. Hey, huge shout out to Michelle Sabin over at Sports Talk Florida, because she got us these clips.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle.
Pumped. They're uploaded. They're ready to go. Are you ready? Here's AB's catch. I don't think it's been seen before. I don't think it's out there on the web anywhere. So here we go. Here's AB's juggling catch over Caleb Farley.
A little predictable, and that they run on first down so often. I think the Bucs could run into a situation where
I think it recorded your voice talking on the podcast while I clicked it.
I was like, I hear myself. I was like, I know I did radio this morning, but that was at 7:30. That wasn't during practice.
And I think it probably did that for the Tyler Johnson too, because I had to do it live on the air because I just got home from practice. She just sent the email at 3:59 with the clips in it. So I'm like trying to upload them. But huge shout out Michelle Sabin. That was still a sick catch by AB, even if you heard Matt's voice over it. Here's another one. You'll probably hear Matt's voice again because it probably clipped his audio by accident as well. Thought I turned the speaker option off when I clipped it, but here's Tyler Johnson on a double move. Is slant and go to win pretty easily for a touchdown.
Playing a lot with the second string guys, and I know Bruce Arians said, "Oh, well, he didn't get enough reps with the first team."
I think it's awesome. Your voices.
I was hoping I'd be talking about Tyler Johnson how I was before.
That would have been
funny. Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been great? Oh, we're not that good yet, but still good to see those things. I mean, I think it's fun to get the clips in there and see.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The fans love it. We used to be able to videotape everything, and that changed, but it was awesome because you'd be able to get every single play, and a lot of the colleges, especially with the second and third string guys, you post a video of one of those guys that makes a good play, and you tag their school in it, or someone from wherever they played sees it. It gets a lot of views that way too. So there's always something for everyone in those training camps.
Sorry, I've missed a lot of the comments because I've been trying to edit those videos and get them up and change the formats of them so we could get them on the show. I see questions about Brady. Brady did not throw any picks today, I don't think. Or are you asking about yesterday? Yesterday,
he had a couple.
Yeah, 3, I want to say. One was in one-on-ones, and you're only throwing to one guy in one-on-ones. And if he's not open, which this dude was not open, you're going to throw it anyway. So I don't really count that. But the other 2, one was,
I think one was the one that got tipped. It got tipped at the line of scrimmage, and then it tipped off of Gronk's hands, and then the other corner was like right over there.
That might have been one. And then one was Amani Hooker underneath. Nobody was there in front of routes. It looked like a busted route, or I'm not sure what happened, but maybe the receiver read it wrong or read it right, and they went another way, and I don't know what happened. But then I can't remember the other one. Maybe there was just 3 then. Maybe those were the 3.
Yeah.
Nothing concerning for sure. I mean, not that I would care about a 22-year vet throwing a couple picks in practice, but I don't think there were any picks today in practice. Somebody asked about Michael Henderson says, is there concern about Kappa? I heard he wasn't practicing too well. Michael, let me know where you heard that, and I'll try to see if we can get to the specific part of what. But Kappa's played great in camp. I mean, he did not play well on Saturday in 6 snaps for sure, but And Campy's been really good, and one-on-ones he's been really good. So
yeah, I thought the whole starting offensive line as a whole was
today was good.
Solid.
I mean,
was really good in today's.
There was a red zone play where earlier in the session, not the end of the practice red zone that I was just describing, but earlier they did like red zone from like the 20, I think, and 15 or something. And Brady drop back to pass, nobody was open, holds the ball, protection's really good, and then all of a sudden, like he's pumping, and still nobody's around him, like nobody's sacking him, and so he throws, he lofts one up kind of for Gronk, who broke off his route and broke back toward the middle of the end zone. He just kind of reaches up with guys coming around and just pulls in the ball with one hand. I was like, all right, that was pretty sick. So yeah, no, there was good things from him, and the protection in general, I thought was that play and others were really good. Gronk had a good day again, bouncing back from yesterday where he struggled some, I thought. So overall, yeah, it was pretty crisp and clean all the way around. You mentioned Darden, yeah, a couple combat catches he needed to come up with. I'm trying to think of other negatives. I didn't see O-line, D-line one-on-ones today. Bucs did have a couple nice runs. It's always hard to gauge that. Where did he actually get tackled?
Yeah.
Would he have broken that tackle?
Right. Yeah.
When do we blow the whistle to blow a run play dead? Who knows? But yeah, that was about the extent of it, I think, in terms of that stuff. After practice, what Arians had to say, I mean, there weren't a ton of huge observations from what he had to say, but it does. Blaine Gabbert's going to start on Saturday. That doesn't surprise anybody because he already said the starters probably weren't going to play. So what else did he say? Robert Hainsey not playing on Saturday. He's been practicing. Robert Hainsey runs sprints behind the rest of the team during practice. Like when he's not in, he runs sprints by himself behind.
He's the most active, inactive person. That
well, now he's active.
Well, now he's active, but when But Aaron said he's got his fingers crossed that Hainsey will practice next week and play in the game next week.
Play in the game, right? Which would be big. I mean, I think that he needs those reps still. I wish he was playing Saturday, and so Nick Leverett might be starting at center. He has not got a ton of reps there. It's going to be an adventure. He's played all 5 O-line spots. I kind of feel bad for him. Like if he had just played one spot, like some of these guys, he might have had an even better camp. Now it's like
that's
so
true.
hard. I mean, left tackle, right tackle.
Yeah, the Bucs are really thin at center. It's crazy.
I mean, every center's gotten hurt. It's the only position. Like John Molson's hurt now, so he's out of the lineup right now. Donnell Stanley already got let go. Hainsey's not playing. They don't want to play Jensen, obviously.
Right.
He did say kind of by
the backup is Ali Marpet, who obviously won't be playing either.
Yeah, so the backup, they're probably going to go into week 1 as Ali Marpet is the backup. My guess will be, unless Hainsey just goes lights out and goes berserk and on the last preseason game, he'll probably be the inactive O lineman the first week, or maybe there'll be 2 inactive O linemen. Or now they usually 8 are active, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, that's normally the case.
So Stinney and Wells for sure, and then we'll see who wins the 9th spot. But Hainsey could be inactive to start the season just because he doesn't have enough reps. But then he could be your backup center by the time. If he gets enough reps and they feel like he's gotten enough time playing,
what a jump!
Center.
What a jump, right? You miss like half a training camp, but then you're essentially the next guy waiting.
Could be the next guy up. You never know. It really depends on how many strides he kind of makes in terms of from now or from next week, I guess, in that first preseason game to like the first regular season game, whether he'll be active or not. I think he did mention. Bruce mentioned a couple guys. He was admitted that he hadn't seen a ton of special team stuff, but he mentioned that D. Delaney won a special teams rep. That continues to be his boy, D. Delaney. He shouted him out several times. D. Delaney showed up out there. That's the only one I saw just whoosh, beat the coverage clean. I was like, all right, well, Nate Brooks split a double team vice and got just absolutely attacked and drew a flag. I'm like,
everyone went crazy on that play too. The whole sideline was hyping it up.
Yeah, Nate Brooks was good today in that session. Antonio Hamilton was good in that session. Joe Tryon. Somebody said to Bruce after practice, said, Joe Tryon, I saw you want a rep. I think Rick Stroud said to Bruce, and Aaron's like, yeah, but that one wasn't really.
Yeah, it wasn't fair. He was on the inside. It wasn't fair.
Well, I think he was just saying the other dude couldn't hold his jock. So like
essentially,
that was a special teams rep too. KJ Brink on the fight on special teams, but he also had some good moments. Who was it that Herb Miller got beat up pretty good a couple times on special teams today?
Here and there.
He's not the gunner that Nate Brooks and Antonio Hamilton are. So we'll see if that determines that whether Herb's going to make it or not in this roster. But some things are going to come down to that, right, for that last spot. And I guess D. Delaney had a good play. I didn't even see his play where he had a good rep apparently as a gunner. So Lots
I mean,
to
Arians
learn.
loves him. He's talked about him a lot between the game and then after practice today. So, see, clearly his job's not locked in or safe, but I mean, he's got to be. I keep saying leader in the clubhouse. I was trying to find something else to say because I keep saying that, but he seems like one of the leaders right now for that special teams job. If coach keeps talking about you, it seems like you're in a good spot to make the team.
Yeah. No, I think that it's a good point. I think that there's definitely something to be. Yeah, there's that special team sessions and how they go in the preseason games are going to be huge.
His
a lot to blame from that.
His career trajectory is crazy too. He played at the Citadel and then transferred to Miami. He signed as an undrafted free agent with the Jaguars. He played for the Jaguars, Miami, the Jets, and Washington. And he didn't play for anyone last season with the COVID season. So his career travels has been pretty crazy in just I think 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, I didn't even. There's some guys I haven't even seen the last 2 days, like against the Titans, that I would have liked to see. It's just impossible. People have no idea. Everybody's like, send us video clips like every day on our Twitter. Like, send video. We're not even allowed to do that after like the first few minutes of practice to get video, first of all. But early on, you're like getting video, trying to see your phone in the
who's
sunlight.
in, who's out,
who's out. Especially today, like half the team came out without their pads on, and we're like, oh, they're doing a lot of vets arresting today,
right?
And they were just like goofing around before. It was like, all right, these guys aren't even warming up really. And then everybody goes in and gets their pads on like last minute, so we're like, oh, all these guys aren't hurt at all. So. But it's been fun. I mean, the joint practices have been good. I definitely think they got a lot out of the joint practices. Great to see a different look, to adjust going into the second day and to respond the way that they did. It shows me a lot about this team. And so very good day, very fun to cover, and a lot to look forward to as they move through the rest of training camp and preseason and get ready for week 1. Devin White was talking a little bit about week 1 today. So be fun. It won't see starters until September 9th. No, that's not true, Alien. I believe that they're playing in the last game.
Arians said they're going to play a pretty good amount in that.
I agree with you, though, Alien, that is a bad idea. I disagree with Bruce Arians. He's obviously smarter than me, but I would not play start. I would have played starters in this game, and then unless you felt like the practices were good, and then I wouldn't have. But I wouldn't have played him at all in the last game. I know it's like 14 days till they play after the last game still, but I still wouldn't have done it. So. It's been fun. Fans have been lit. I mean, there weren't even that many fans today, but oh my goodness, they were so loud.
Yeah.
And Titans players and
remember what Gronk said yesterday after practice? They asked him about the overall crowd noise from the first preseason game. He said it was louder at that preseason game than it was in the Super Bowl.
He might be full of it, but
that's what he said, man.
We can only. I don't know. I mean, I guess we're not at the Super Bowl. But
I wasn't.
I don't know.
I wasn't at the game, so
I don't know.
It was. Yeah, I mean, how could it had to be louder at the Super Bowl? It's the freaking Super Bowl. They won. Yeah. They won the Super Bowl at home for the first time ever in NFL history that happened.
Right. It was a pretty good crowd for the preseason games, right? I don't have anything to compare it to in terms of I haven't been at other.
Yeah, it looked like your standard preseason game, especially with the weather being what it was.
Right. Good point. So. All right. Well, tomorrow we're off on the podcast, but Saturday after the game, we are back on the podcast. The Pewter Report podcast is so close to 5,000 subscribers. I think we're like less than 50 away or something like that.
We're close.
From 5,000 subscribers. There. So help get us to 5,000 subscribers right now. If you're not subscribed to the Pewter Report podcast on YouTube, please search Pewter Report TV, find the Pewter Report podcast, hit the subscribe button, click that bell for the notifications for when we go live if you would like to receive those, because most days during the week we're 4 p.m. But then there are times after games, the post-game pod, which is my unbiased opinion. I think it's the most fun pod of the week. I mean, it's one of them. I don't know, they're all fun, but that pod is a lot of fun after the games. We usually live about 45 minutes to an hour after the game ends. We got a great popping atmosphere on last Saturday, and we'll have one again this Saturday after that game, breaking down how all the backups performed and what we can glean from that. Tons of battles will be decided in this game. There's the next cut after this game. They're cutting 5 more, and then the rest of the cuts happen after the third game, I think. But after this game, they're going to have a great idea who they're keeping and who they're not. Arians has kind of said that already, right? Like big games for Cody McElroy, big games for Brad Seaton, those kind of players. If they play really well, it's going to go a long way to determine who makes this 53-man roster. So lots to glean, lots to find out. Appreciate y'all jumping in here, tuning in with us, enjoying this podcast with us. We'll be back Saturday night after the Bucs play the Titans at 7:30 p.m., I believe, is that game.
Yep.
So we'll be live after that one. Until then, thanks so much for listening to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.
Please donate to Mark Cook and Mark's family's GoFundMe page if you can, please. Miss you, Mark. Out.